Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And we got a lot to do every single Wednesday. We just have a lot of things to cover on Wednesdays. It appears Koki Riley's going to be along in 15 minutes talking LSU baseball. He was at the box last night for LSU and ULL. Jay Johnson met with the media earlier today in advance of LSU's three-game set that starts tomorrow with Mississippi State. So Koki in 15 minutes is a What If Wednesday. Get to some of those at 1:30. Talk some Saints at the end of this hour. Matthew Bruni's going to be along at 2 o'clock talking LSU Lady Tigers basketball as they head up to Spokane, Washington for the Sweet 16 later on this week. I've got my thoughts on LSU, ULL, or SEC baseball power rankings. LSU's lost their first weekend of the year. What do I think about that and how it relates to LSU in the rankings? We'll do all of that over the next 2 hours, so lock us in. Start today the same way we start every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Yesterday, we got to some sound from Joe Sloan, LSU offensive coordinator, who met with the media, and we didn't get to all of it, and there were some things he hit on that I thought were relevant. Yesterday, we talked a lot about LSU's tight ends. We've discussed the running game a little bit over the last couple of days as well, but obviously, when you talk to the offensive coordinator, I think it's relevant to talk about the quarterbacks, and LSU is in a very, very strong spot entering the year at quarterback because you've got one of the nation's top passers returning for his fifth year. You can have whatever opinion you want to have about Garrett Nussmeier's overall play last year. A discussion you can't have is that LSU is compromised or playing from behind at quarterback. Like, there may be a guy or two in the SEC that you might look to in front of Garrett Nussmeier if you're an LSU fan. I'm not real confident that I would do that. I mean, DJ Lagway seems primed for a strong year after the end of last year. A lot of people were really high on Arch Manning, obviously. Lenora Sellers closed out last year very, very strongly. But you want Nico Iamaleava? I feel like LSU's in a really good spot at quarterback, and I think that that Joe Sloan agrees. But it's not just Garrett Nussmeier. He kind of likes the way this entire thing looks. And in this day and age, you got to realize it's unrealistic to have four guys ready to go at quarterback at a given time. Like, that just doesn't happen in this day and age in college athletics because quarterbacks, more so than any position in collegiate athletics, transfer. But LSU's starting from an advantageous spot with Garrett Nussmeier at the front of the line. Michael Van Buren comes in after a half a year as starter at Mississippi State. You still got on the roster, you've got Colin Hurley, and then Juwan Johnson has moved over. So you look at LSU, and they feel like they're in pretty good spot as far as the quarterback room goes, and Joe Sloan spoke to the entirety of that position group.
Excited about the room. I think Mike's done a great job. You know, he's had his learning the offense, right? That's been a big piece for him. When he gets comfortable, he got comfortable there midway through, played really, really well. Then we got in some new situations, right? Now we get back in those same situations. Now he's playing well again, right? I think he's doing really well. He's battling through, and he's working on the things he needs to work on. You know, so I couldn't be more excited about what Mike and the growth he's made. And then Juwan and some of the different things that he brings and what he's done in some different unique situations and packages. I think he can help our football team. So excited with the group.
So that's the totality of the group. Let's take them one by one. And, of course, you start with a starter, and that's Garrett Nussmeier, who, everybody's going to say this until they play on Labor Day. Like, look at the jump from year 1 to year 2 to that fifth year. Zach Muttenberger to his fifth year, huge jump. Joe Burrow to his fifth year, huge jump. Jaden Daniels to his fifth year, huge jump. And that'll be the talking point, and that's fine. I think it's a lot, but that'll be the talking point to put on Garrett Nussmeier's feet. So how about Joe Sloan, who works with him every day, thinking about going into his second year as a starter?
Garrett was prepared to play, but then there are certain things that he needed to go through that you can only get preparation by playing. You can only get the experience by playing. And I think he's learned from that. This offseason has been able to be a little bit different because now he's going back, and when he's studying, he's not just studying his practice tape or maybe our tape and what could happen. He's looking at specifically some stuff that he needs to improve on. And I think he's been really intentional. Really, some of our staff did a great job of breaking some different things down for him so he could really see some individual things and he could take back control of those situations. Whether it be something technical with a throw, whether it be the understanding of a defense, whether it be how we're playing, whether it be our footwork, all different kinds of things. And being able to really be intentional, take control of that, and make those corrections. And the big thing now is taking that to practice. And really, a lot of it he's been doing a great job with. And then there's still some things, right? We're still a work in progress. And I think he's done an excellent job of attacking that. I couldn't be more proud of him.
When I wrote a piece on LouisianaSports.net about Garrett Nussmeier's interceptions midway through the year last year. And without rehashing all of them, because they're distant memories to a lot of you at this point, but you remember that they happened more frequently than you wanted, probably. The general point that I landed on when going through the interceptions was it was not inaccuracy. It was more so a couple bad decisions and then some just flat misreads where he didn't see somebody. And I think that with playing time and with reps, it's easier to develop your ability to read a defense than it is to strengthen your arm or to just get way more accurate. Like I just don't know if Jalen Milroe is ever going to sit back there and pick somebody apart with his precision passing. I think Garrett Nussmeier is more likely to make the improvement of understanding defenses a little bit better once he's seen them more times. And so that improvement, I think, is reasonable to expect entering his second year. I mean, I'll just go to a couple generally, like the decision-making of Garrett Nussmeier to throw the ball out of his own end zone right after LSU had gotten an interception against Ole Miss and immediately turned the ball back over. Like, that was a bad decision. The decision he made rolling to his left in College Station with a 2-score lead in the second half to make that throw back across the field and have A&M intercepted for their first turnover that they immediately turned into a touchdown. Like, that's a bad decision. And that's something that can come with growth and experience. It's not going to be his first time on the road in front of 100,000 this year. Not going to be his first year starting. He's gotten to see all of that on tape. I feel like those strides are really, really reasonable to suggest. And Garrett's got the benefit now of going into this year with the same offensive coordinator and the same head coach. And he's worked with Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly his entire career. Like, it's years and years now that they've built that relationship. And so Joe Sloan spoke about that dynamic where you've got a guy that's been his quarterback coach now for 4 years and his head coach.
Garrett's fabulous. I've enjoyed coaching him every year in all his different situations and how he's grown, how he's matured, and just the man he's becoming, right? Who he's becoming not only as a football player, but as a person. I've really seen his leadership. I think his confidence and who he is as a person, just his leadership carry over. This year, he was always a leader, but I think he's done an excellent job of that, just really being organic, being real, being genuine, and I think the guys are gravitating to it. It's been good to see. It's been a lot of fun to see for him.
The biggest off-season news that LSU got was Garrett Nussmeier coming back because that sets the roster up. But with that announcement, you realize that it's going to be difficult to keep your quarterbacks around. And you kind of thought Bryce Underwood was next, and then he bails the 11th hour for the cash, and you realize that you got to do some backloading at quarterback because you don't have the depth that you did have. You lost A.J. Swan. He left. Not that he was the answer, but he was an SEC starter at one point in his career. So how are you going to be able to go into the transfer portal and get a quarterback who knows he's not going to start but does want to be a part of the program? And they got Michael Van Buren after a year, more than half a year as a starter at Mississippi State, 8 games, to come in and sit. And I think that's impressive that LSU was able to pull that off. And Sloan talked about what attracted LSU and that staff to Michael Van Buren.
Mike obviously played extremely well, did a lot of great things at Mississippi State last year. So when we had the opportunity to add him to our roster, we couldn't have been more excited. When he gets comfortable, and you've really seen it, we've seen it a lot this spring, his comfortability in the pocket is exceptional. I mean, it is exceptional. And I think that's a really huge talent for him. And then he can drive the football now. He can touch every piece of the field with his arm. I've really liked his growth. Some of the things that we do, he hasn't necessarily done, but he's a quick learner. Once he does it once and as he feels it, he's been able to make the adjustments and make the growth. I think both Tim Rattay and Trey Holtz and some of the different things they've been able to do. And that's a great part when you have great coaches. We're able to kind of split off and really focus on what the individual guys need. And I think that's helped Mike a ton.
There's so much to take from Michael Van Buren's freshman year. He was under a first-time head coach in Jeff Levy at a new spot. He was a freshman. Blake Shapen goes down a month into the season. He's thrust in there. They didn't stop anybody the whole year on defense, so you're constantly playing offense with the idea that your defense is going to give up 50 points, and you're playing these ridiculously brutal games at Texas, at Georgia. You're just playing really, really difficult opponents week in and week out, and his numbers were pretty good. Were they eye-popping? No. Were they great? No. Was some of it impressive given that he was a freshman thrust into duty? Yeah. He's got some talent. He's a 4-star recruit, and I think this is as good an ad as you could have hoped for if you're LSU, considering that Nussmeier was coming back. If Nussmeier's not coming back, you might be able to grab a little bit of a bigger name to come in and be your starter immediately. But for LSU to get an SEC starting quarterback to come sit on the bench, I thought was really good. Speaking of backup quarterbacks, Juwan Johnson, who started his LSU career at Star and then moved to running back on a whim and spent all the season there, and now he's back at quarterback. And Joe Sloan talked about what he could potentially add to LSU.
Jawan wanted to come back to quarterback. I couldn't be more excited to have him. You know, he's obviously a different style of quarterback than maybe the other two guys. You're going to have to respect his feet. And, you know, just working through him, I think you've seen his growth from a passing standpoint. He throws a good ball, but in terms of his read progressions and doing the things he needs to do. And then, you know, just his footwork and commanding the huddle. I think he has great leadership skills. And obviously he's been electric with the ball in his hand. Made a couple big plays when we've been in live tackle situations. So I think he's been excited. He's been fun to coach. He's attentive, and he's getting after it.
One thing to be aware of with Juwan Johnson, when we go to practice, he does not wear a no-contact jersey. He is in the jersey like the rest of them, which means he can get hit. Now, they're not bringing guys to the ground in most of the period, so it's more of a thud situation. But you look at the other two quarterbacks that are out there, they've got no contacts on. Juwan Johnson doesn't. And he ripped off a 50-yard run on Saturday when we were there, weaving through. Now, it's a third-team defense, and that needs to be mentioned. But, like, that's the kind of explosive playmaker he can be with the ball in his hands. Y'all heard my takes on the quarterback situation when Juwan Johnson moved, and we found that out last month. And I said, look, I don't like it. Because I don't think that if Juwan Johnson is being asked to play quarterback for 2 weeks with his team, that's going to go very well in the SEC. But if you've got a package for him and you feel like that he can help you develop your running game by being another option, I'm okay with that part. And it sounds like that's part of, at least, what they're doing right now. So you feel good about Nussmeier. Van Buren's about as good a backup as you're going to nab, and then Juwan Johnson brings a completely different dynamic. I think it's a really healthy spot that LSU's quarterback situation is in. You understand that you're going to have to add to it next year after Nussmeier moves on, but you cross that bridge when you get to it this time and age with that position. There's always going to be a quarterback out there. You just got to make sure that you go get them. So I think LSU's in a good spot with the quarterback, and we'll leave that discussion right there. Our Genesis opening drive every single week, Genesis of Baton Rouge. All of our football content on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. We'll step aside when we come back. Koki Riley talking baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisbatonrouge.com. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. How about 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty or 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance? All that is part of what you get as a Genesis driver. Genesis of Baton Rouge, right there, airline at PQ, is the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. If you have not been by the store, just give it a look. It's a first-class facility. The ambiance is phenomenal. When you walk in, you're going to feel like you're in a five-star hotel, not just your old ordinary auto dealership. The service aisle is like that. The staff treats you like that. You're going to feel like a guest there, not a customer. And the experience, once you leave, you're going to understand the difference in being a Genesis driver. It's a luxury brand of vehicles at a reasonable price. Start your process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com and then go by and see them. Get behind the wheel. Get those 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Get that 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and get behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What If Wednesday coming up in 15 minutes. Get your questions into the Bayou Ford chat. You can also get them to me on Twitter at HuntPalmer88 and take them sports related, take them food related, parenting related. Beck needs parenting tips. You can throw those in the chat.
I'm not getting them from you.
Well, I don't have a lot of tips these days. I don't have a lot of energy these days. We're just not sleeping very much. That's all right. Koki Riley covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. Joins us every single Wednesday. Does so now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Koki, how are you?
Doing great. How's it going?
Going well. How was Dish Falk Field? I have not ventured over to Austin to see that. How was the atmosphere, the facilities? What was your impressions there?
Yeah, really good atmosphere. Pretty great facilities. A lot of the infrastructure there is very new. You can tell how much money is in that city, how much money is in that campus. And that really paid off for me. And you can just sort of see it. When you see it with your own two eyes, it really pushes that point across. So no, yeah, I mean, the only bummer was that the press box, there was closed windows, so you couldn't really hear the environment super well. But I mean, it was near, if not an entire sellout for every game of the weekend. And those Texas fans certainly care about their team, even if it is a smaller park size wise than the box. just from a capacity standpoint. It's different from that perspective, but in terms of from an infrastructure perspective and from a food perspective as well, you mentioned food earlier. It's a heck of a place to watch a ball game.
Well, LSU played great on Friday, not so much on Saturday and Sunday. Let's kind of break that into segments. What'd you like about Friday?
Just a really well-rounded performance. That pitching-wise, they were about as good as you could possibly ask for. Only 2 runs. One of them was on a solo homer. And, Cade Anderson, he's just really tough to see in terms of I think his delivery is a little bit funkier than what meets the eye, I think, for opposing hitters. I think that he does a good job of his swing path with his arm. Like, I think if there's just sort of a suddenness to it, and there's a quickness to it, the way he releases the ball, that his fastball can get up on hitters a little bit quicker than they expect, maybe, or maybe even what the radar gun suggests. And I just think he did a really good job of keeping those Texas hitters off balance. And when he can throw 4 pitches for strikes like he can, and they're all at least solid pitches, and it's really tough to hit, especially from the left side. So you have him going, you have Zach Cowan with his great changeup going, and you have an offense that just continue to do what they've been doing for about a month now in that game. And then things went differently after that, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we're going next. They were good for the first 4 innings on Saturday, and then it all kind of fell apart the rest of the weekend. What was the biggest takeaway from the quote-unquote collapse?
I think offensively, they did well. They did good enough to at least be in the game, if not win the game. I mean, 7 runs, the 2-run home run from Derek Curiel, getting Luke Harrison out of the game pretty early. I thought they did a fine job offensively. The last few innings were kind of tough. Part of that's because Dylan Lantis and the fact that he just kind of shut him down throughout the whole weekend. And Max Grubbs isn't necessarily easy to hit against either. Those are probably their 2 best relievers. I think like our concentration for Saturday has to be on the pitching side, though. I think Anthony Eidson was really good first time through the order. Second time through the order, he had a lot of trouble. And the second week in a row, we've seen this now against the city competition. Missouri, as you saw this weekend, they can score some runs. So that was actually it was a better stress test than we thought it was going into this weekend. And I thought Anthony was a little bit better this weekend than he was against Missouri. But at the same time, like, he was just getting hit more that second time through the order, and they were just a lot more comfortable with seeing his stuff, seeing it out of the hand. And I mean, all the things that Cade Anderson's really good at in terms of throwing guys off and having that quick release, I think Anthony can struggle with that stuff sometimes. And that I think that kind of explains, some of the second time through the order issues. And then with the bullpen, I think that it was odd that they only let Connor Ware throw to 1 batter. I mean, personally, I think he's one of the better relievers on this team. I don't think he's been as good as Casey Evans or Zach Cowan, who has, but I mean, opponents are hitting 143 off of him, and he's had some control. Same time, he was probably your best pitcher in the fall. So I think you want to throw him for more than 1 batter over the weekend. So they take him out for 1 batter, and then Schmidt comes in and gets the ground ball out and then gives up the 3-run home run. That really changes the game, and quite honestly, probably changes the series. And they tried to give him some length after that. He gets hit around a little bit more, walks a couple of guys, and now you're really spinning the wheel as to who you're going to take out of the bullpen. And they retook the lead there, and I think Connor Bench did a nice job against the 6th inning. And then the 7th, I was surprised that they didn't put Casey Evans in there, because you have a chance to win that game with a 1-run lead, or at least, keep it within a run or 2, even if you do lose the lead. But instead, you're, finding yourself in a situation where you're just spinning through relievers and you're throwing Connor Bench a little bit longer than they wanted to. I think Jay even said that to me at one point. So it just really snowballed, and part of it's because they wanted to save Kaysen for Sunday. And I think the game was there to at least come close to winning, if not win. And it's just hard to make that argument, make the opposite argument there.
What do you think a realistic expectation is for Anthony Eidson moving forward? We've now seen him for 6 starts, 2 in the SEC.
get through the order 2 times while keeping your team not just in the game, but only giving up 2 or 3 runs. And instead, it's been 2 4-run outings against where he's really getting hit hard the second time through. Because if you get through the order two times, you're thinking that's like 5 innings, 2 runs or 1 run. That's pretty good, right? Like if that's not bad at all, especially in this very offensive heavy environment, which is obviously that's the SEC in college baseball. But like I think like that isn't too far out of grasp. I think like he can get there, and I think we also have to remember that Gage Jump struggled at the beginning of conference play last year too. Yeah. Like guys can get better, So I think Jump has probably better stuff than Einstein does, but at the same time, like with the way Einstein can command the ball and the fact that it's really tough to tell what's his splitter and what's his slider, and if he can sort of mix those pitches in a little bit even more and really change up the sequencing the second time through. I mean, there's definitely a path to 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 1/3, 3 runs. Like that's kind of what you want. So you can give your offense a little bit of breathing room to give your bullpen a little bit more breathing room.
The 3 freshman pitchers, I know you all talked to Cooper Williams today. William Schmidt got back out there yesterday, as did Maverick Rizzi, who closed the game. Which of those 3 do you think has the best chance over the next couple of weeks to become part of the part of winning on the weekend?
The circle of trust,
yeah.
I guess. Is that a good way to put it? I think Maverick Rizzi can definitely get there because the stuff is just kind of undeniable. It's still 95 to 97 it's a bowling ball fastball, bowling ball sinker, whatever you want to call it. And he's got a slider to go along with it. I don't think he's necessarily a guy who can go a bunch of innings because he really only has 2 pitches at the moment. But the stuff is so good that I just as long as he's like near somewhat over the plate, then he can get through an inning when you need him to get through an inning. He can get a ground ball when you need him to get a ground ball. And he got a ground ball even in that 8th inning against Texas that just got through the hole, right? I don't think that ball was terribly hard hit. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember that play exactly right now. I mean, do you remember that fun better than I do?
I don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
I know. In my eyes, the guy that gave up a lot of singles that weren't necessarily crushed but did get through the infield. I thought Ianson, they just hit hard ground balls through the infield consistently, which you get one of those at somebody, it changes the fortune a little bit, but he didn't.
Yeah. But when they're hard hit, it's harder to, I guess, for lack of a better word, excuse them, right? So I think like Ianson gave those 3 straight hits, right? I think 2 of them were pretty hard hit. One of them wasn't. But either way, like they were seeing the ball better off of him. But to get back to your question, like I think Rizzi just that bowling ball fastball and the fact he can get it up to 97, 98, like that's enough of a weapon right there, and he throws enough strikes to where I think it's probably him. But I think Cooper Williams can have a role too, and I wouldn't be surprised if William Schmidt works his way back just because of the talent that those guys have, and Cooper Williams, especially given the fact that he's a lefty.
So they scored 9 runs in the first inning yesterday, which was pretty good. How much do you think they kind of got the Saturday and Sunday monkey off their back and heading into this week last night?
Baseball is really hard, so to expect these guys to score 7 to 8 runs in every single game is kind of unrealistic, and I think Riojas was a little bit better than I think anyone thought he would be in that game, and they got to him at the end. But then you put in Volantis. Volantis has been shutting down everybody. Not to give these guys excuses, but at the same time, like it's unrealistic to expect them to score 7 to 8 runs in every single game, even if they are one of the better offenses in the SEC. They're going to have an off day here or there. It's baseball. It happens. If that happens more regularly during conference play, then we can, sort of pick apart what's going on. And there's certain individuals who haven't been amazing, but they've just been okay or solid at the plate. But, I still think this lineup is in much better shape than what we saw last year, and that's the biggest difference between last year's team and this year's team.
Any surprise that Jay Johnson told you all he's planning on going with the same starting rotation, being that it's moved up a day?
Not really. I mean, they'll get the full week next week, and then they'll get the extra day the week after that. And I don't know. Like, is there a huge difference between 6 days of rest and 7 days of rest for these guys? They're getting plenty of rest, the starters at least. And I think it's fine. And I don't think Jay wants to make decisions on the rotation after 2 weeks, and I kind of don't blame him for each. And if you go through each case, I kind of blame him. I mean, Cade Anderson has easily been the best starter. He's the Friday guy, of course. Anthony Ianson, I mean, you kind of need him regardless to get through, the order twice, and that's what he's got to work towards doing. He can do it once. We've seen him do it a couple times now. It's that second time through where it's become an issue. And then with Chase Shores, he's still coming off the surgery, and I can understand why they want to, give that guy as much time as possible to figure things out. Because, again, when this team's added Ianson and Shores pitching really well, and right now that's not happening, but at the same time, the 2023 team took a big leap because Thatcher Hurd was great at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Chase Shores is in that sort of role for this team this year.
We'll see. We'll see you at the box this weekend, Koki. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Koki Riley with The Advocate, covering LSU baseball. You can find him here every single Wednesday in hour number 1. We'll come back with What If Wednesday next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just phenomenal to work with. I know that it's the spring and we don't think about hurricanes in the spring, but we know that they show up in the summer, and summer's up next. So if you haven't given any thought to your property policy as a commercial business or want potentially another option when you look towards your renewal as hurricane season approaches, don't wait until the hurricane blows through. At that point, you got what you got. If you'd like another option on the property side of things, Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group are happy to look at it. Maybe it's not just the hurricane side of things. Maybe your limits are not properly put up. Maybe you've got some exclusions that you don't know about. They're experts, and they'll go in and look at your policy. They'll audit it. They'll show you where there may be some shortcomings, some blind spots, and they'll make sure that you're taken care of as we get into another storm season here in South Louisiana. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com, the Highland Insurance Group.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. Whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Chugging right along here on this Wednesday. Saints free agency class was ranked by ESPN.com. We'll do that in 10 minutes from right now. Matthew Bruni at 2 o'clock talking the LSU women's basketball team as they head up to the Sweet 16 this coming weekend. LSU and Louisiana Lafayette obviously played last night. I'll talk about that in hour number 2. SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming at you as well. So tons and tons to do. Let's dive into What If Wednesday now.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if you could immediately love a food or drink that you currently don't?
Interesting. I've got a few that come to mind. I'll probably talk it out and see if I can figure out which one I would go with. Like, I don't like coffee, but I don't really need coffee.
You don't want to to love coffee
yeah.
because it's addictive.
Yeah. Although some people say it's very healthy. I don't love wine. A lot of people like to serve wine. It's generally a nice cocktail type deal, but I find an alternative there. Now, as far as like food goes, my thought goes, what are something that's really healthy that I could eat a lot that I don't currently like, and nothing like jumped to mind. I don't like onions and I don't like mushrooms, and that is in a lot, and that is probably where I'll go. Like there are caramelized onions in every dish ever served, it feels like, and I always have to go no onions. I had to do that at lunch today, so that is probably one that I would go to. Like I'll cook onions. I cook the crap out of onions for like gumbo, and when you're cooking down like ground beef or something that can cook for a long time or whatever. Like, but it would probably be like one of those, so I wouldn't have to be so picky and such a dork. Like we talked last week about like people bring stuff over when we have the baby, and like I don't like this or that.
Mushrooms.
Like, yeah, it's okay. So you know, I'll go with onions because I feel like there's a lot of situations where onions I have to take off.
Okay, I would probably go with. I actually eat a good bit of vegetables. I don't know if there's one that I don't like that I know kale is considered like a superfood, I think, and it's supposed to be like really good for you, and I don't mind eating it, but if I loved eating it, it'd probably be good for me, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd probably go with that. But all right, next one here. What if it's an all SEC Final Four?
That would be disgusting. That's what we get in Omaha every freaking year, and it's miserable. I would really hate that. Like as I look at the SEC teams, like I don't hate Tennessee. I don't hate Bruce Pearl. It's just Oates. Oates is under my skin. He did the one thing where he yelled at Will Wade to GTFO, and I just lost it, and I'll never look at him the same again. I just really dislike him without knowing him, and so I don't want them to win.
Yeah.
I don't even care about Alabama's basketball fans because I don't find them to be nearly in the same tone as their football fans, who are just completely delusional. And so I don't have to deal in that world with their basketball team. I just don't want Nate Oates to win.
Yeah, I don't either. But that would be pretty. I don't think Ole Miss is going to win, but they've had a good run so far. And then
I don't even care about them as much. Like, it's basketball. My hatred doesn't run as deep because LSU hasn't been that good at basketball my whole life, and no one's like ruined. And in basketball, like, you can lose to that team and you just still keep going. It's just like no big deal. You lost on February 3rd. All right, next. So it's not that big a deal. So yeah, it's just Alabama. That's all I got to pull against.
All right, we got some from the chat here. What if Nuss didn't return this year? Do you think they still would have gotten all these weapons at receiver or maybe a high-end quarterback?
I think they would have gone for a quarterback for sure, and I think it probably would not have been Michael Van Buren.
No.
Although, I think they do like him. I'm trying to think of the high-end quarterbacks that moved. It wasn't as big a year.
I mean, Carson Beck, but I don't know if they had
I don't think that's it. I mean,
know.
He's far less productive than like Dylan Gabriel was, and even Cam Ward was. And those were 2 years ago. I don't even remember now that I'm thinking about like who the high-profile quarterbacks that moved were this year. But they would have gone. The answer to the question both ways, no, I do not think they would have been able to have as much success with the receiver, even though they were deep into the NIL game. And two, I think they would have gone and gotten another quarterback.
All right, next one here. What if you could choose between attending? Was it? I thought he said you couldn't attend, or let's see, where was it at?
It was in the chat.
Okay, what if you could choose between attending the Masters and playing the next day, or guaranteeing a national championship in football and baseball? That's pretty ridiculous.
Okay, so my choices are go to the Masters and play on Monday, or you're going to win the national championship in baseball this summer and football coming up. I want to be very clear.
Oh, wow.
Very clear.
Okay.
This is unequivocal. There is nothing you could have put after that next one that would have made me take it. There's not one thing.
Yeah, no.
And I realize that there are LSU fans listening and think that's the craziest thing they've ever heard.
I don't think
to go to a golf tournament and then play 18 holes of golf as opposed to 2 national championships. There's nothing you could have put outside of I'm talking about myself personally. I start talking about my family, my kids, that kind of stuff. Like, I want them to have incredible stuff, and I would find ways to do that. But for Hunt Palmer, playing Augusta National, after that, there is nothing else there's nothing you can experience on this earth outside of a generational windfall of cash that qualifies. That's it. It's the end of the bucket list, the last thing on it. So, yeah, I'm pulling for LSU baseball to get this thing done in a couple months, and I'll be all in on football too, and that's great. And I've got some memories of that, and they're phenomenal. It's the thing that I'm most passionate about in my fandom. But playing Augusta, like, that's the end of the bucket list. That's where it stops.
And let's just say, I think I'll ask you, but is it not make it easier to make that decision based on the fact that LSU has won plenty of national championships?
Probably.
In both baseball and
I'm not an
football.
Ole Miss fan or an A&M fan. Like, I've got everybody that I pull for besides LSU basketball has won the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even like a kid and like barely remember it. I mean, I don't remember 91 and 93, but like I vividly remember 96, 97, 2000, 09, 23, then 03, 07, 19, and then 16 for the Cubs. That's 9. I have 9 championships. So I'm spoiled from that perspective for people outside of Boston. So yeah, that's the end of the bucket list ends there.
All right,
what about you, Beck? You want to go play Augusta, or you want to watch championships?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty easy question for me as well. It's definitely going to be the.
How about Buzzy, who's played Augusta and been on a national championship team?
Yeah, I know. That's a good
Wow,
good thought.
Buzz.
Yeah. All right, I got a few here. My brother actually sent this one in.
Wow. Any more family members that are going to ruin all the
Maddie,
young dreams?
My wife has one too.
Okay,
so.
good, lovely. Let's throw them at me.
All right, first one is for my brother.
Okay.
What if you could travel back in time to attend the legendary 2004 Goo Goo Dolls live in Buffalo show, but after that you can never listen to them again?
Oh, that's the one where it rained?
Yeah.
I don't need to see him in the rain. I can see him. I can see him when it's not raining.
Yeah, but I
can continue to listen moving
I know,
forward.
But it was a legendary.
It was a legendary
concert.
show. I found out about it like 4 months ago. So
how did you find out about it 4 months ago? Okay.
Instagram showed it to me. But yeah, I appreciate the question. I really thought it was going to be something really impactful that I can go back and look at, just the Goo Goo Dolls playing in the rain.
No, not that. All right, my wife has one here too. All right, what if in his tenure at South Carolina, Paul Mainieri wins a College World Series?
That'd be great. I'm pulling for Coach. I hope he does great there. I hope he loses by the 10-run rule every time he plays LSU. Right? Like I think he did a great job at LSU. I have always appreciated our interactions. He came on this show a couple times, including for an entire hour before opening day in 2022. So I'm pulling for him. I don't think his team's very good this year at all. And I have my questions about whether he's going to be able to handle this whole NIL paying players portal thing. But I'm pulling for him. I just don't want him to beat LSU. So that's it for a What If Wednesday. We'll come back and talk Saints. That's coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
finishing up hour number 1 here, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. What's the name of the rapper who has the gift that says another one? DJ Khaled.
Oh, I was going to say,
nailed it. Got it right.
I think you should be able to get that.
So
pretty easily.
this is basically that for a segment. Like, it's not breaking news. It's not a hot take. It's not revolutionary. It's not well researched. It's just another one. And it's ESPN going through and ranking the NFL free agency classes top to bottom. And the New Orleans Saints come in at number 20 on this list. Key acquisitions and returning players: edge rusher Chase Young, safety Justin Reed, tight end Juwan Johnson, safety Tyrann Mathieu, defensive tackle Devon Godshaw. That's the class. And so what does ESPN.com love about this class? Well, they signed internal players. Chase Young and Juwan Johnson had existing void years on their deals. Dead money was ready to accelerate on the 2025 cap if those two walked. But they extended Young, same true of Johnson, and they saved money against the cap by backloading the deal. What did they not love about the Saints offseason? Tell me if this sounds familiar. Did not love signing external players. Why are they giving Justin Reed a 3-year deal? He's a good player. The contract is fine, but stop signing new deals. Give all of Reed's snaps to a third rounder and see if it's a hit. If so, you can get out of this dreadful, terrible, debilitating cap hell that made them restructure Derek Carr's deal. These are not my words. It's ESPN.com's. The story continues. It's no longer impressive or interesting that New Orleans keeps on spinning the carousel of contending by borrowing from future cap years. It's just mismanagement, and it continues to hurt the team. Again, another one. Everyone. Like, it's a unanimous opinion. And it's just that. It's an opinion. It's not a fact, but it's a unanimous opinion. Everyone who looks at this Saints franchise and looks at the current roster and looks at the cap and looks at their record year over year goes, why are you doing this? Yet they keep doing it. And it to me, it's the most fascinating piece to this organization because it's really all we have to analyze. What is there to analyze about a team that last year fell apart and fired their coach, a coach that comes in that hasn't done anything as the head coach, a roster that we don't think can compete in 2025, and a general sense from the outside of the organization, if not from the inside, that like, yeah, you're 2 years away from getting this thing figured out where you've got some young players that can help, that are a little bit cheaper, and your cap situation's better. But we all at the same time sit here and go, your cap situation's never going to get better over the course of those 2 years if you keep signing players. And Mickey Loomis continues to walk out to the press conference when he does one, gum or not, and say, well, yeah, we're going to be aggressive. We're not taking a step back. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to make the team the best it can be. And we're all going, well, that sounds admirable on its face without any context to it, but we have all the context. It's all readily available. It's not just Hunt Palmer, 1-3 in Baton Rouge. It's not just Matt Moscona, 3-6 Baton Rouge. Not just Charles Hannegriff, 11-1 Baton Rouge. It's not just Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net. It's also ESPN.com. Everybody who's looking at this is going, you might need to do something different. And there goes Mickey, who just takes his foot and hammers it down on the accelerator and keeps going. And it's off the cliff. It's gone. The car is smoldering at the bottom of the cliff. And there's just no intent from the organization, it appears, to change. Now, I would add a little bit of color to the end of this and be like, they didn't go nuts. The Godshaw deal is not crazy. The Chase Young deal is not crazy for a 25-year-old at that position. I don't like the Juwan Johnson deal. I really, really don't at all like the Brandon Cooks deal. But it's not, none of them are massive and none of them are a ton of years. But it's still an unwillingness to really put the brakes on. And that's what everyone is asking from the outside, and the Saints continue to just stare it down, scoff at it, and run right by. And I don't know how many years of mediocrity and or ineptitude it's going to take for that attitude to change. But right now you're just mired in the middle of it, and it just feels like you're never going to get out. And so I feel badly for Saints fans that you sit here and you root for the team and you read up on your team and you listen for your team and you pay attention, and everyone's kind of going, well, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. And the Saints sit there and go, yeah, we're good. Let's go. No, you're not. You're bad. You're very bad. And you need to get worse and clear all this bad stuff up before you get good again. That's what everyone seems to say. And the Saints just don't seem to pay attention. Time's a flat circle, I guess. Onward to the next. That's it for hour number 1 here. If you missed any of today's show in the first hour, you can always catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, of course on YouTube. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. If you're looking for your Saints content, Hunt on Saints. Looking for your LSU content, Hunt on LSU. We opened the show today with some Joe Sloan sound from LSU Spring Football talking quarterbacks, so check that out at Hunt on LSU. Koki Riley talking LSU baseball. It was a What If Wednesday. Did a little bit of Saints. We'll pause for Sports Center. Matthew Bruni talking LSU Tigers female women's basketball going to the Sweet 16. We'll do that after Sports Center on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkeys. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Bucks will be missing another star tonight against the Nuggets, a game important to both teams who are jostling for playoff positioning. Giannis Antetokounmpo is out with a sprained foot. Milwaukee's already without Damian Lillard, sidelined indefinitely with a blood clot in his right calf. With the addition of Russell Wilson, the Giants now have 3 experienced quarterbacks on their roster: Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. Wilson is the projected starter, but that won't likely prevent New York from taking a quarterback in the upcoming NFL draft. Probably not, though, with the 3rd overall pick, says Unsportsmanlike co-host Chris Canty.
They're going to add a quarterback in the first 2 days. I just think the opportunity cost of drafting Shedeur versus taking a guy like Travis Hunter, who could be the best player in this class, taking a guy like Abdul Carter, who is the best defensive player in this class, that's too great to pass up on.
Our Chris Canty. The NFL's competition committee is recommending making the dynamic kickoff rule permanent and moving touchbacks to the 35-yard line in hopes of generating even more returns this season.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty. Coming up Thursday, it's opening day, and my Yankees will be without a lot of big names, but I'll tell you why I'm still excited for the upcoming season. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. After work week officially in the rear view mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Been a fun first hour. Still got plenty to do here in hour number 2. SEC Baseball Power Rankings, 30 minutes away. I spent a significant amount of time on those rankings this morning. I have them right here. And there were some significant moves. Let me see the biggest move that we had. I think it was 8. Yeah, we had an 8-spot move. And it might not be exactly who you think that it is. I also had to give some careful consideration to where things were going with LSU. So we'll do SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming up in 25-ish minutes from right now. Also coming up here in 15 minutes, I've got thoughts on LSU and Louisiana Lafayette on the diamond from last night where, look, I told you I thought it was going to be a testy game for LSU, and they immediately came out and scored 9 in the first inning. So, you don't get them all right. In my case, I don't maybe get maybe I don't get very many right, but I certainly didn't get that one right. So LSU torched ULL last night at the box. Beck, thumbs up or thumbs down on Matthew? Sounds like we just about got him hooked up. We do now. So going to talk some basketball as we do this time every single Wednesday with Matthew Bruni, part of the Bengal Tiger team over there on 3. LSU women advance to the Sweet 16. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. I'm doing great. Using these 2 days without basketball games to recuperate a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you said last week when we talked you really liked LSU's first-round matchup, and that went as easily as you thought. Did you think that the round of 32 would be as easy as it was?
No, I didn't. I thought Florida State offensively, and it, for a half, it looked how I expected it to with Latson scoring, getting to the free throw line. My biggest concern going into that game was foul trouble, which ended up being the case with Flage and Michaela. But the way they responded in the third quarter was obviously tremendous. I mean, that was a level that honestly we haven't really seen from them this year. You know, we've seen them struggle at times to put teams away. We've seen them struggle to pull away. And for them to put it together like that for a 31-6 quarter against a top 25 team, I mean, that's the championship pedigree. That's the championship level that I needed to see from them to really feel like they had a chance in this thing.
Offensively, I don't know if you could have asked for anything more over the course of 2 games. What are they doing so well on offense?
Yeah, so the first thing, they're doing a really good job with these smaller opponents in terms of the guards and the wings, trying to get their mismatches with Michaela and Anissa and just let them kind of feast. They're always going to be active on the offensive glass, but really the biggest thing is their three-point shooting. I mean, they're shooting the ball at a high enough rate with Michaela and Flau'jae leading the way, especially, that I think it makes it tough for these opponents to cover them. Obviously, if they're able to stretch the floor with what they can do in terms of their penetration and their size, then it just makes them a really tough cover. So we've seen that. They had 29 assists against Florida State, so that was obviously huge. And, you know, if they can build off of that, then I think they're in a really good spot.
So defensively, we know that Flau'jae's got to be important there. How did you see her moving around, and how do you feel like she's going to look on Friday?
Yeah, I think she's fine. I think it's going to be interesting. They didn't really put her on Latson too much for Florida State. They really left the guards or the smaller guards on her and tried to, take away the paint a little bit more. But I do think, when they go against NC State, she's not going to be able to hide as much. She's going to have to guard some of their best players, and that's some of the best guards in the ACC. NC State can go a 4-guard lineup that has a bunch of really, really talented returners from last year's Final Four team, and she's going to have to defend her, Michaela, Cheyenne Day-Wilson. All of them are going to have to be at a really high level defensively against this NC State team.
Yeah, well, obviously LSU and NC State played in the Bahamas back at the beginning of the season. It was the 8th game of the year for LSU, and Tigers really controlled the first half of that game. They went into the half, winning 42 to 30 at a 12-point lead and extended it. Ended up winning that game by 17 points. Does that have any relevance in what we're going to see on Friday?
I think it does. I think from a matchup perspective, I feel good about LSU because the Texas and the South Carolinas are usually able to slow them down, and they're able to kind of grind them out and out-rebound them a little bit and, match their physicality. NC State doesn't really do that. They have really, really talented guards, and they can shoot the ball at a high level. But I feel like if you get in a guard game with LSU, especially in this type of situation where it's a win or go home and you're going to get LSU's best shot, I mean, Michaela Williams is playing as well as anybody in the country right now. And then Flau'jae and even the guards that they rotate in, Gilbert and Shepard and Poa and Day-Wilson, have all been playing well enough to where if it's a guard game, I think LSU can do that. And then, Morrow and Smith and the bigs have been playing well too. So I do like this matchup on paper. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be an easy win by any means, and it's definitely losable, but I do like the matchup.
When you look across the bracket and you see UCLA, who's been great all year, and you look at Ole Miss, who obviously beat LSU 2 weeks ago, does Ole Miss have any chance in that game to kind of soften LSU's road? And 2, if they get to UCLA, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I do think Ole Miss has a shot when you play the defense that they play and the physicality that they play and the way they force turnovers. And honestly, UCLA through 2 games has not looked dominant. I mean, we look at their first game against Southern, and Southern for 3 quarters was within 10, which was really weird to watch. And then they played Richmond and didn't pull away till the second half as well. So Ole Miss can definitely do it. I still don't think it's likely, but if they do, or if UCLA advances and LSU advances, I think it's a fascinating matchup where UCLA has bets on the inside, and then other than that, I'd give LSU a lot of the advantages with their wings and their guards. So UCLA has not been as dominant as I thought they were going to be coming in, and we'll see if that changes against Ole Miss. But if it doesn't, I think LSU has a good shot if they get there.
Either based on the press conferences or just your knowledge of covering her for a few years, how do you think Kim feels about her team right now?
I think she feels kind of and this is kind of why I said is that third quarter, that second half was so was so important for this team. I think to see, okay, we do have that extra gear, and watching her on the sidelines and seeing her and talking to her, like that felt like a big half where, you know, you're up 1 going into the break, you know, you're coming off foul trouble, you don't really know how you're going to adjust and how you're going to handle the pressure here, and they just came out and absolutely boat raced Florida State there. So I think that was a huge half for her and her team, just to see that we are that championship caliber team, and I think she now realizes that, and I think that's what gave her confidence in the post-game press conference and just gives her confidence moving forward that if we play our best, there's very few teams that can beat us.
Let's talk men briefly here, and give me a timeline on kind of what you think about portal exits and then most importantly portal additions. I don't need names, but like, do you think that starts to happen in the next 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, so we've seen some of the departures already, Corey Chest, Mike Williams, and so on, and I think they're doing a much better job than even I anticipated at retention. Not to say there's not going to be any more portal departures, but I think Robert Miller and Jalen Reed, those were 2 that I really wanted them to try to get back, and I think they're in a good position to get both of them back. After that, you look at Victorious Miller, Curtis Givens, and I think they have a shot at getting both of them back, and we'll see how that plays out. If maybe they stay, maybe they go. But the 2 bigs were really important for me. In terms of looking at additions, I think they'll look to start hosting people next week. You know, in the transfer portal era, especially in basketball, it's unique because sometimes they don't even take visits. Sometimes it's just going to either, you know, whoever pays the most or whatever situation they like and just going without asking questions. But I would assume LSU try to get some visitors here in the coming week and kind of going from there. But we'll see what names pop up and kind of where they go. But I think it should happen fairly soon.
This is a really hard question to answer, and you may not have a good one at all. This is not a situation that Matt McMahon has been in where you feel like you do have the NIL war chest to go to work here. Do you feel like he hasn't been allowed to identify the really, really good players he needs to bring in because he hasn't had the funds to even draw any interest? Or do you feel like he's gone after players that he liked and maybe misevaluated, and that's why they haven't won enough games?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. I think that's what we're going to find out, first of all. But secondly, I think there have been missed portal evaluations. I think, you know, you look at like a Jordan Sears who can clearly score the ball, but the point guard situation for them year after year, if you can go back to the very first year where he brought Justice Hill with him, who clearly could not play at this level. It's like there have been some missteps there regardless of money. But then, I mean, they've gotten Louisiana discounts from like Cam Carter. They've gotten Carlos Stewart and so on, like guys from Louisiana trying to bring them back. And football was in the same situation back, the past few years where it's like, all right, bring these Louisiana guys home. They're cheaper. They want to be here, so on. But ultimately, especially in basketball, you can't do that every year. You got to go get some high-end players from other top-end schools. So I do think money was a factor, but also at the same time, I do think he deserves some criticism for the evaluations that he did have and the construction of especially the team this past year in certain spots, even with injuries. So it's twofold, and we're going to learn a lot over the next couple of weeks about, if he can do it with this new money.
Kim Mulkey's team headed to the Sweet 16 on Friday. Matt McMahon trying to bring in some visitors. You can catch coverage of all of it over there at the Bengal Tiger on 3. Matthew Bruni's all over all of it, and he joins us on Wednesdays talking hoop. We'll do it again. Maybe they're headed to the Final Four next week. We'll see, Matthew. Thanks.
Yeah, hope so. Thanks, Matt.
Matthew Bruni with the On 3, part of the Bengal Tiger team. He and Shay Dixon, the whole crew over there, do awesome work, and we appreciate a little bit of his time here on this Wednesday. When we come back, LSU, Louisiana Lafayette on the diamond last night. I've got thoughts. I'll give them to you next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, hosted by the Goo Goo Dolls' #1 fan, Hunt Palmer.
I almost fell into that hole in your life. You're all thinking about tomorrow.
I can tell that's that 04 Buffalo show.
Wow, what a year you have,
man!
Incredible. You can just hear the intensity in the crowd.
I don't think I've ever going to Buffalo.
Yeah,
I don't see it happening.
Not for maybe a Bills game.
Unless Myers is playing quarterback for the Bills, which
Probably
again
not.
I don't think is going to happen. I don't.
Niagara Falls doesn't interest you?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. I'm not a big sightseeing guy. Big history guy.
Yeah, well,
not a big sightseeing guy.
The history of Buffalo, as not only as a city but also the team being there is pretty interesting, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, the No Laying Up guys, they did the NFL Owners Series, and they did they did the Bills, and they went through the history of the team and how it got there, and it's pretty interesting stuff.
Good for the Bills.
Yeah, not gonna go.
But I'm
there.
not gonna go.
It's pretty close to Toronto as well. You can take a little day trip.
Probably
to Toronto,
not gonna go.
maybe.
I hear Toronto's awesome.
I hear too. Yeah,
I'd go watch the Cubs play there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I have no interest in anything else that Toronto has to offer.
Yeah,
poutine. They got some of that.
I'm sure.
That's Canadian, right? That's the Canadian.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's about all I can do with Canadian.
And then Canadian bacon, the biggest fraud and
like ham.
One of the history's biggest frauds.
All right, speaking of frauds, perfect segue.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday on this illustrious talk radio program, I told you I just didn't love the feeling of this midweek game with LSU and ULL. Thought ULL played pretty good last weekend. I did not think LSU played great over the weekend. ULL was throwing one of their weekend arms. LSU did not have potentially two of its top bullpen guys who ended up not throwing. And then you see the first inning, and Jaden Newt goes out there, which we kind of thought might happen. And he gives up a infield single and then a bunt single. And then you get a ground out and you got a couple guys on base and they get a ground ball to Stephen Milam and he kicks it and then picks it up and then throws it low and Jones can't pick it and they score a run. And I'm going, this is what I'm talking about. You got your best player making an error at shortstop. They're going to be fired up. Like, I told y'all, this is a potential hiccup spot for LSU. And then they scored 9 runs in the first inning. So, I'm an idiot. Be sure and tune into the idiot.
Well, you weren't doing that yesterday in hopes of a jinx, were you? Like you wanted to be wrong?
I was being honest. I don't really have a lot of bits on this show.
That's true.
I just pretty much say what I think. And Jay Johnson did say in the postgame that they changed their messaging up pregame, and he had a kind of an inkling on this one, and he wanted to make sure the guys were ready to go. So maybe Jay and I were on the same wavelength there. But, I mean, you look at LSU's first inning. Curiel draws a 3-1 walk. Jones draws a 3-1 walk. Dickinson doubles down the right field line. Fry hooks one down the left field line. He doubles to score 2 more runs. Then Milan struck out, and Brown popped out for the first 2 outs. Kate Arambidi just crushed a home run into the seats and left. Braswell singled on a sharp line drive to left field. They hit Stanfield with a pitch. Curiel bunted for a hit. And so at that point, Herman hasn't gotten out of the inning yet. They said, well, you've thrown 40 pitches. You're out of there. So they bring in Holzhammer, and the second pitch he throws with the bases loaded to Jared Jones ends up a missile into the seats and left, and LSU's got a 9 spot. Like, it was awesome. It was great. It was great plate discipline. It was using the entire field. It was showing some power. It was bunting for a hit. It was everything this LSU offense can be. And I get it. It's Louisiana Lafayette midweek pitching, and so you contextualize it the way you need to. But that was really strong. So at that point, you pretty much seized control of the entire game. Now, what else do we need to talk about? Certainly, after Newt's 3 innings, you go to William Schmidt. He gives up a bunt single. And then you've got a fielder's choice. And then the issues. He hits Cuff by a pitch on a 1-2 offering. You don't want to do that. Gets a fly out. Then you throw back-to-back wild pitches to play to run. And then you give up an RBI hit. And I don't care about the RBI hit, but I do care about the 1-2 hit by pitch and the 2 wild pitches. And that's just the hurdle that William Schmidt's going to have to get over. And he will eventually. It's just a matter of does he jump that hurdle in the middle of April, or does it take him this summer to jump the hurdle? Because his stuff is plenty good enough to get out UL Lafayette, to get out Texas, to get out Mississippi State this weekend. It just is. The breaking ball is plenty sharp enough. The fastball's got plenty of life, but he's got to throw more strikes. And everybody knows this. But that's just the case. And they're going to keep running him out there, and I think they absolutely should keep running him out there. But, you know, it's continued wild pitches, it's hit by pitches, it's just all command. Very rarely does he had a 3-run homer on Saturday, but that was because he had walked a guy before that. William Schmidt is not going out there and giving up 4 straight hits. Like, that's not happening. He's putting guys on base, and that's what he's got to clean up, and he will. He will do it. He's going to be a really good pitcher at LSU. But it's the command has got to come. So you move on from William Schmidt after he was decent in this his second inning of work where he did issue a walk. And then you go to Benj, who gets a strikeout. You go to Dorsey, who gave up a couple of hits but got through that inning. And then I thought it was an important frame in the top of the 7th, the last inning of the game was for Rizzi to come in and he struck out the last two guys he saw. And I loved the stuff that you saw in both instances, but he did work 3-2 to Collins, 3-2 to Higgs, and 3-2 to Hebert, which, if we're just calling it like I'm watching it, like, I wish you weren't in three ball counts that often. It makes life really tough when you go to 3 ball counts, and you've got to groove fastballs, and sometimes the breaking ball gets taken away, or guys see breaking ball and know it's not going to be a strike, and it's just, yeah, I mean, it's great that he got the outs. And there will come a time where all I care about is that you got the out. But when you're up 17-4 against UL Lafayette, I can be a little bit more critical and say, hey, this is a low leverage spot. Work with your command. Come on, let's go. And he didn't walk anybody, but he's at 3 ball counts. But good for him on executing with 3 balls. These two guys, Schmidt and Rizzi, I would only talk about this if I thought they were great pitchers that had huge potential, not only in their LSU career, but for this specific team. If these were guys that were way down the line that I thought would never help, I wouldn't talk about this at all. The only reason I bring it up is because I think these guys have the ability to fill a hole that exists on LSU's team right now, which is the middle of the bullpen. Cowan, Benj, Evans, like, that's the back end. You feel good about it. Anderson's the front of the rotation. You feel good about it. It's filling in that middle. And I think Schmidt and Rizzi have that ability. But they've got to throw it over the plate more often. Let's hope they do that moving forward. Now, this has absolutely nothing to do with LSU. So if all you care about is LSU, which for the most part is me too, this may not interest you at all. But I can't help but make a comment on this game because of this. Louisiana Lafayette, entering the game last night, had 3 hitters on the season that were hitting over 268. 3. And I pull up the lineup, and the one guy who leads UL Lafayette in batting average, on-base percentage, home runs, runs driven in, walks, and hit by pitches. Is that enough categories to lead the team in? It's 6 of them. He's hitting in the 6 hole. That's Connor Higgs. The 6 hole. And apparently, I checked, the rationale behind this is that Matt Deggs just feels like ULL is a better team when Higgs hits 6th instead of 2nd or 3rd. All I know is that you are guaranteeing that 5 of your 9 hitters, more than 50% of the lineup, is going to hit more often than the guy who leads your team in everything. That is impossibly irrational. Like, it's so ridiculous. And I know y'all don't care about this, but like, the baseball guy in me saw that in the lineup and went, huh? Is he sick or something? Or did he get hurt on Sunday? No, they're a better team when their best hitter by a country mile is in the 6th hole. If I ever showed up to the box and Dylan Cruz was hitting 6th, I'd have to knock on Jay Johnson's door, hypothetically. I'm not going to go down to Jay's office pregame. But you get the point. What are we doing here, Matt Deggs? There are times where coaches try to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm sorry. You can't hit your best hitter by 40 points. He's 9 of their 21 home runs. Like, that's almost half. He's in the 6 hole. No, that was nuts to me to see that from ULL. So we will leave our ULL lineup discussion there. That was a tidy 90 seconds of that. But that just blew my brain when I watched that. So let's move on. That's your LSU baseball talk for the day. When we come back, SEC baseball power rankings. Where are the Tigers? Who did I move 8 spots from last week? We'll do all that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com is on the lot there at Airline and PQ. Every single model in the Genesis line, from the entry level to the highest end model, comes with the same safety features. The entire line was given the IIHA safety pick. Some were top safety picks plus. If safety is number 1 on your priority list, then you would have to have Genesis on your list. If you're shopping for a vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably going to end up on Airline Highway anyway. Make one more stop at Airline and PQ. If you just want to take a look at Genesis and you're somewhere just outside of Baton Rouge, well, Genesis of Baton Rouge is Louisiana's only fully exclusive Genesis dealer. So come on in. Chat with one of their brand ambassadors. Go in their first-class dealership. Get behind the wheel of one of these models. You'll see the difference. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show with former Texas A&M Yell leader, Hunt Palmer. Giga Maggies.
All right, back. I have twice teased these SEC baseball power rankings and mentioned a team that moved 8 spots. I didn't say whether it was up or down. I said a team moved 8 spots. Do you have a sense of who that might be? Who's your best guess?
A team that moved 8 spots?
It's a lot in a 16-team league.
That is a lot. I mean, it's not. Well, no. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to wait and see. I can't even come up with one. I'm gonna be really intrigued here.
All right, I will tell you when it happens. It's gonna take a minute though. Let's start with our SEC baseball power rankings.
Hunt's SEC power rankings. The Tennessee Volunteers.
The Vols did lose 2 in a row last week. They lost their midweek game, and then they lost the opener on Thursday to Alabama. However, they did come back and win the next 2 in Tuscaloosa. They're 5-1 in league play. I still think they are the best team. They hit a ton of home runs. They've got a ton of velocity on the staff, so it's nice to see them not be superhuman. They did lose 2 times last week, but I still think they're the best team in the SEC.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
We were talking about Arkansas's offense after 1 week of play, and we're like, this may be a bad offense again. Well, here are their SEC game run totals. 6, 12, 12, 12 in 7 innings, 12, 11. They're scoring 10.8 per game in SEC play. They do need Root and Gackle to be a little bit better on the mound. They're not pitching it as well as they probably could, but they're hitting a ton. I think the Hogs look good on offense. I think they will pitch it. I've moved LSU back. How far, we'll see, but Arkansas is at number 2.
The LSU Tigers.
Not that far. You go to Austin, you lose a couple of games. I still think Kate Anderson's great. They got to do work in the bullpen. You know about LSU. I still love the offense, so I think they're comfortably number 3 here. I feel good about that.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia's 25-2. Here are their SEC game run totals through 6 games. 12, 7, 17, 8, 17, 15. That one was in 7 innings. That is 12.7 runs per game. They went down to Gainesville this week, and they hit 13 home runs in 4 games and swept the Gators. Their team ERA is 14th in the SEC, and they have the most walks issued of anybody in the SEC, so they're still not pitching it very good, but my goodness, can they hit. They're 5-1 in league play because their offense is great. Georgia's at number 4.
The Texas Longhorns.
Moved the Longhorns up 2 spots to number 5 after seeing them for 3 full games. I thought Spencer was pretty good on Friday. Riojas obviously did a great job of locking LSU up on Sunday. I think their approach offensively is really good. You can tell they're a very veteran offensive team. So I like Texas. I think they're a good team. We got them at number 5. That's up 2 from last week.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama's number 6. They dropped back a spot. They're 5th in the SEC in on-base percentage and runs. That's good offensively. On the mound, they're okay. Riley Quick has a ton of upside, and I think as we continue to see him stretch out, maybe he becomes a bigger factor there as opposed to a lot of 3, 4, 5 inning stints. But I think Bama's good. I moved him just a little bit back because I had teams jump up in front of them, namely Texas and Georgia. But Tide is good. 6th in the SEC is a solid spot.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss is really hitting, and that's a good thing. They went up to Missouri, and Missouri scored on them, but they outscored them. They just kept swinging the bat, swinging the bat, swinging the bat. Ole Miss needs a lot more from Mason Nichols and Riley Maddox, and my concern is that you're not going to get that because Mason Nichols and Riley Maddox are the opposite of William Schmidt and Maverick Rizzi, who I talked about in the last segment for LSU, getting better. Those 2 guys are seniors who have kind of been this their whole career. That's what they're going to be, I think, and that's just very, very mid-level SEC starting pitching after Hunter Elliott. So I think Ole Miss has a ceiling, but they're playing pretty good baseball, and I told you they had to win 4 of their first 6 in league play. They did that because they went and swept Missouri over the weekend. So Ole Miss at number 7.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn has won a couple series. Good on them for that. They got Ike Irish back this weekend. That's also a very good thing for them. Sam Dunn's been pretty good. Was not as good over the weekend. It's just a talent thing for me with Auburn. I don't see it when I watch them. And candidly, I haven't watched them as much as a couple of teams in the league. But I think they've played better than I expected. I don't think they're any better than 8th right now. So that's where I've got them.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vanderbilt sweeps A&M, and at this point, I got to kind of say that's more on A&M than it is on Vanderbilt. They're just not very good. And Vanderbilt, who went to Auburn and lost 2 out of 3 dramatically the first weekend, took care of their business. They pitched it pretty well. They swung the bats okay. They still have the fewest home runs of anybody in the SEC. Y'all know how I feel about that. You've got to slug to win. And so Vanderbilt's not in the top half of the SEC, but still a solid club.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky, look, they have gotten into some slugfest. They don't strike a lot of guys out on the mound, which is a problem for me. Their defense has been a little shaky this year, which was a real calling card the last 2 years. But they're solid. Like, they do win games. They're a solid team, so I've got them at number 10. That's up 3 spots from last week.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Good on Oklahoma. It's bad that they lost the weekend. But it's good that even though they lost Kyson Witherspoon's start, and if you don't know his name, you should. He's one of the best pitchers in the conference. He got out-dueled by Pico Khan, who we'll see tomorrow in Game 1. They lost 2-1. And then Oklahoma came back and won the last 2. So good on them for doing that. Don't think Mississippi State's a great team, but Oklahoma, that's a feather in their cap. They don't go anywhere up or down. They stay at 11.
The Florida Gators.
That's a drop from number 4 to number 12. That is an 8-spot drop for the Gators, who are 0-6. Look, they didn't have Liam Peterson over the weekend. They didn't have anybody who could get anybody from Georgia out. They struck out too much. It was just an ugly performance for 3 days, and the injuries have gotten to them to a point that I don't know what they're going to do. Like, maybe Peterson comes back this week, but you've lost your top 2 arms on the weekend now in Peterson and Capola. So, like, you don't have anything to back them up, and when you don't have anything, you don't pitch well, and they did that against Georgia and got swept at home. So they're 0-6. They got a lot of work to do.
Texas A&M!
Aggies back another spot to 13. They just flat don't hit. They strike out an alarming amount. An alarming amount. They went up to Vanderbilt and just couldn't make any contact. It was just, they struck out like 19, and 20 times. Just awful. Awful. I don't have an explanation for it all. None. They're at 13.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
This is LSU's opponent this weekend. Again, you're going to hear me say this a bunch tomorrow, but Pico Khan is as good as there is in the SEC, and LSU will see him up close and personal in the game on Thursday night. Other than that, State's not great. They do have power arms that haven't been great, and they've got a couple guys that can hit. Ace Reese being one, Hunter Hines has some pop, but just not a great team in Starkville, and they got swept in the opener, and they lost 2 out of 3 this weekend. They're 1-5 coming to Baton Rouge.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina got swept at Arkansas. They couldn't get them out. They gave up 12 runs in 7 innings in the first game, 12 more in the second game, 11 more in the third game. They just don't have the pitchers. They don't have a lot of guys that can hit. They just don't have the guys. I'll say it every week probably during this drill, but they don't have the guys. They're 1-5.
The Missouri Tigers.
I could make a pretty compelling case that Missouri's better than South Carolina. They're at least swinging the bat. They swung the bat in Baton Rouge. They swung the bat against Ole Miss. They can't pitch worth a flip, but they can hit a little bit. But their record's so bad, I can't really justify it. So got Missouri at number 16. So that's your look at your SEC Power Rankings here on this Wednesday. I'll do them from the top 3, Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU. Then I got Georgia and Texas at 4 and 5. Bama, Ole Miss, and Auburn 6, 7, and 8. Number 9 is Vanderbilt. Kentucky at 10. Oklahoma at 11. Florida at 12. A&M at 13. Mississippi State at 14. South Carolina at 15. And Missouri at 16. I can tell you that LSU plays Missouri, they're 16th. Plays South Carolina, they're 15th. Plays Mississippi State, they're 14th. Plays A&M, they're 13th. That's the bottom 4 teams in the league. LSU plays them. And at the top, you do play Tennessee. You do play Arkansas. You play those in a 3-week stretch. So that's the best 2 teams in the league. But a lot of teams there in the middle you don't play this year, between Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. Those are teams you don't see this year. So kind of a mixed bag there with LSU. So I like them at 3. I think that's a reasonable take. You couldn't get Florida there, that dropped 8 spots in this week's poll, which makes a lot of sense.
It does. I know. I should have probably considered that, and that's definitely was the most logical option there, I think.
It was, and they were 8 for 4 to 12. That's a tough fall.
So how about this? So we've got A&M and Florida both 0-6.
Yes.
Will either of them make the tournament?
Yes. One of them will, at least, if not both. But, yes, it takes, what Florida got in with 13 last year. LSU definitely got in with 13 and a run in Hoover. Florida did not make a run in Hoover. Yeah, they will. I'll be really surprised if both. I'll be a little bit surprised. I'd be really surprised if both made it or both didn't make it. I think one of them will. They got to go. So what's the math on that? They've got 24 games left. They have to win 13. So you have to go 13 and 11.
That can be done.
It can.
But when you start 0-6, that's just...
Here's the problem, and we got time to do this. Texas A&M's schedule, their road schedule is just absurd. And I've seen this gone through a couple different times. They've talked about it a good bit on Highway to Hoover. So what is left on Texas A&M's SEC road slate? They have a trip to Tennessee, which is just a disaster for them. They've got a trip to Arkansas, to Baum-Walker, which that's 6 games that are just absolutely brutal. They go to Texas. We just saw that for LSU. So that's 9 games that you've got to see. They're at Georgia, who in that launching pad of a stadium is really difficult to beat. So those are their 4 remaining road series. Tennessee, Arkansas, who are my top 2 teams in the league, Georgia and Texas, who are 4 and 5. So that's 4 of the top 5 I've got in my power rankings, and then LSU is 3, and they play LSU at Bluebell. So that is not great.
Whereas Florida, their schedule is not as tough on the road. They had to go to Arkansas, which is not great. But other than that, it's not too bad.
Well, sorry to hear it, Aggies.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. One of the things that people bristle about when they talk about home improvement is the cost. And sometimes it's understandable. Times can be tight. David Duvall wants to help with that. So they've got financing options available, 0% to 18 months. That's same as cash if you qualify. So if you'd like to do something with your bathroom, like a full-scale renovation or just a tub-to-shower conversion, you can have that financed. If you'd like to have David Duvall come in and customize your closets, they can do that. Either put in brand new ones or use the space more efficiently that you currently have. They can do that as well, and all of it can be done with the financing options available there. Start the process with a free consultation. David will come out. You can talk to him about what you're thinking. He'll tell you what he's thinking. Y'all can customize your plan and move forward. And I can promise you this, they'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Catch him online at onebathandclosets.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances.
Hunt Palmer, lover of LSU, Shreveport, and mayonnaise on hot dogs. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The VEX European Bracket Challenge is rolling right along. Head over to louisianasports.net to see how your...
During the break, and South Carolina's football team was going to practice, and they had to dunk their face in water or rub their face with a banana or something.
Oh, yes.
And I thought it was going to be like some prank at the end, and then it just wasn't. And then it ended with like, if you know, you know. Well, newsflash, I don't know. What am I looking at here?
Okay, so this guy went viral. Maybe it was like Monday or maybe over the weekend, or maybe it was last week. Anyway, this guy went viral because he posted his like morning routine.
Okay.
And he wakes up at like 4 a.m. He like stretches. He does the banana thing. The water. Basically, everything they did is what he did in his routine.
Okay.
And it just went viral. And so now he's like making videos of himself doing all this just like random weird stuff.
He rubs his face with a banana.
Yes. And it's just really weird. And for some reason, it went viral. And so now everybody's
talking about it. Why doesn't he do something productive, like come to my house and put the baby to sleep so I can sleep?
That would be nice.
Stop rubbing his face with a banana and do something useful.
He's got banana. The stock for bananas is skyrocketing right now, and he's also this particular water brand.
I don't believe that.
Yes.
People watch this moron rub his face with a banana and they go buy more bananas.
I have seen videos of people.
Chiquita stock going through the roof.
I've seen videos of people going to the store and just filling their cart with this water that he bought. It's just ridiculous.
So it's in a blue bottle.
Yeah, it's a specific brand that does it. Yeah, that he's.
I can see why theirs might go up. Like bananas, everybody knows about bananas.
The banana stock is rising, Hunt.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at.
My grandfather would be so proud of our
I'm
great
sure.
nation that he fought for.
I'm certain he would be. Yes.
He didn't even get into email before he was going. He's like, "What is this? You just send it like." All right, G-Daddy. All right, what do you got? You got some take or leave it over there?
We got a
Great.
few,
We love to hear that.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, first one here. ESPN Bet has listed season win total odds for the NFL. New Orleans Saints come in at 5.
I was going to guess.
What were you going to guess? I mean, I already said 5.
Probably would have said 6.
Okay, they came in at 5.5, so you're pretty close there. 5.5 wins for the Saints. Take the under. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. I think they go over. I think they win 6.
Yeah.
I think they win 6.
Well, look, if we can take anything from the last few seasons, that Derek Carr will be healthy. They'll start out the season like aces. They'll win 2 or 3 games at the beginning of the season.
Here's the deal. If he plays 17 games,
they're going to win 6.
They'll win
6, yes.
They will not win 11.
No.
They will win 6.
Yes.
And they won't win 3.
Yeah, well, let's look at the schedule just briefly. The schedule's not out yet.
Schedule's not out yet. That's a summer deal.
I think we do know at least what teams are. I don't know, but anyway,
we do know what teams and
right.
We know what teams and where. We don't know when.
Yes, when. Okay, but I would be hard pressed to say they're going to win 5 games.
I mean, the deal with the NFL is unless you're just absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
Which the Saints really aren't abysmal. Like, you're going to be in a bunch of one-score games in the fourth quarter, and, like, they're fortunate enough to win a few.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't feel good about the money, but I would put it on the over.
But, I would say the chances are that Derek Carr, I mean, he's missed games the last few years. I would think that the odds are that he's going to play, probably play a full season this year. Just based on.
I don't know if that's right.
He hasn't had, before he came to the Saints, he didn't have that many injury problems.
No, but his offensive line is really bad.
That's true. They're not great, but they're getting maybe a little bit better. Trevor Penning and Tasu Fuaga were good spots, so we'll see. But anyways, moving on, the last one here. Former Will Wade assistant Bill Armstrong will take over head coaching duties in Lake Charles for the Cowboys, with, of course, Will Wade going to Raleigh to take the North Carolina State job. Bill Armstrong will keep the Cowboys in the tournament hunt. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that.
Leave it alone.
But I will say this. Will Wade will absolutely, on a laminated card, give Bill Armstrong the name of the 4 people he needs to talk to get the players in.
Yeah.
And I think that for a year or two, they'll listen. as you know, because Will Wade and Bill Armstrong very tight. McNeese put a lot of money relative to their peers in NIL, and I think they'll continue to do that while there's a return on that investment. And when I say return on the investment, I don't mean financially. I mean winning a lot of games. And so you're in a league that's got a bunch of teams that aren't going to spend a lot of money. If McNeese stays on the forefront of that, I think that Will Wade's a far more proven head coach than Bill Armstrong, obviously. But Will Wade will seamlessly hand that thing off, and Bill Armstrong will know who to talk to. He'll have the money that Will Wade had for a brief time, and if he makes it stand up, then he'll have it for a significant time. So I think that's a quality thought by them to make him the next head coach. All right, fired up for tomorrow's show. It's a game day tomorrow. LSU and Mississippi State from the box tomorrow. I think first pitch at 7 o'clock, so we will preview that game with Chris Blair. We'll preview it with Joe Healy as well. I'll give you my thoughts on it. I think I'm going to wait until Friday's show to get a Mississippi State guest on because we're kind of full on Thursday's edition. We'll talk to Luke about the Saints, of course, and so we got a lot to do on tomorrow's show, and it's a big game for tomorrow for LSU because Cade Anderson will be likely going up against Pico Khan, and that'll be one of the best pitching duels in the SEC. And if LSU can win that game, you've got a really good chance to take the series in a big way. You lose that game, the pressure's on you the next couple of days. So big spot for LSU and what should be a crazy environment at the box tomorrow with a really good pair of pitchers on the mound. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, and review. Talk some LSU football in the first hour. Talked a lot of baseball there as well. LSU women's basketball. All that wherever you find your sound. Musso going to drive you home. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
You gotta believe